Shake a sugar shaker, what a thrill. Jeepers, I'm a sugar pill. Shake a sugar shaker, you can too. Sugar pills will work for you. Shake a sugar shaker, what a thrill. Jeepers, I'm a sugar pill. Shake a sugar shaker, you can too. Sugar pills will work for you. Hello everyone, I'm Barbara Baxter and welcome to Sugar Pills. I'm very excited that you're here with me today because we are in for such a treat. Do you know Victor Paruta? You should know Victor Paruta because he is Cincinnati's most trusted psychic medium. He's a paranormal investigator. He's the founder and executive director of Victory of Light Expo, the largest Victory of Light Expo in Southern Ohio. He is Cincinnati Magazine's best psychic. He is a popular guest on radio and television, locally and nationally. He is an acclaimed guest, including being on ABC, Barbara Walters' The View. He's been on Fox TV, he's on Internet TV, and he's been on Beyond Belief with George Norrie. He's also in many, many local and national publications. And Victor has been on the faculty and is on the faculty of Baker Hunt Art and Cultural Center. Wow! I told you you were glad you were here when we have Victor Paruta on our show. Victor, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
So nice to see you, Barbara.
Thank you, thank you.
What a nice introduction, thank you.
You're most welcome, and it's all true, and there was more, but you know, there is a time element.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you so that you can tell me and all the people watching, when did you realize you were a psychic, and how does this happen? Can you give us a little insight as to when you began to decide that, or discover that you had psychic abilities?
Sure. Well, you know, it's. I think we're all psychic. First of all, I think it's God gave us our intuition to help us survive when we don't have all the information and all the facts, and we have to make an intuitive decision in order sometimes actually to survive and to help us make better choices in life. So I think we're all psychic. We all have it. It may be lying dormant within you. But I was the kid that when I was with my mother in the grocery store and we were at the checkout line, I'm the one who noticed the palmistry, numerology, and astrology little booklets they used to sell at the grocery store. Do you remember that?
I do. I do remember
something
those.
about that just, you know, I was fascinated with it from an early age. So I started reading about it and testing things out. I was always naturally very intuitive and very empathic, which gives people a level of sensitivity where they could feel the emotions and the thoughts and the energies of the people and the environment that they're in. And that can be very difficult. I found it very difficult when I was a teenager because I would lose myself, for example, in a crowd or at a party or in a group of people.
What does that mean, lose yourself?
I was bombarded with too many impressions from the people around me and the situation that I was in. So I would lose my sense of centeredness or groundedness. And part of my spiritual journey was learning how to deal with my empathic nature, which is just a high level of sensitivity. And in my quest to learn how to deal with that, I realized that being empathic is a initial step into being intuitive and then psychic. And what's interesting about it is, I started trying to find help for this extreme sensitivity, but it wasn't until I actually went to see a psychic upon my mother's suggestion that everything started making sense. And I started, for the first time in my life, getting information from a spiritual and energy perspective that really made sense to me. And I took it from there. And you can get a lot of that from reading books. There's a lot of material that's available to us. The internet these days, anything you want is on the internet, and you can, find out a lot about it. But I'll never forget the first metaphysical book I found at a used bookstore. I think it literally jumped off the shelves into my hands. And I devoured it. It gave me a worldview that made sense, finally, something that made sense, more sense than what I was learning in school or in church or from my family or from my friends. And that started my journey. It worked for me.
Oh, I'm so glad you told us that, because so often someone thinks of a person who's psychic as, I don't know, like living on top of a mountain. And you know, you're describing things where you were this regular person in this regular situation. You know, you have family, you go to the grocery, and yet all of a sudden here's something that just pops out for you. Very, very interesting.
In a way, it's a way to survive.
Yes. And you are the executive director of Victory of Light Expo. Now, you went from what you just told us to now being the head of the largest psychic expo in Southern Ohio, and probably many more regions because of the size of this. What can you tell us about Victory of Light from the beginning when you decided you would do that to where it is now?
Sure. Well, the Victory of Light Expo, interesting story how that came about. I used to have a bookstore in Covington, Kentucky, in Main Strawsa Village called Victory Books. I started that in 1989, and it evolved into a New Age bookstore. So one day a psychic came in, and we were having a conversation, and she got an intuitive flash, and she just said, "Why don't you do a psychic fair?" I'd never heard of a psychic fair before. I didn't even know there was such a thing. And the idea just was, she planted that seed in my head, and I got some friends together, and I said, let's do this. And within a few months, we put on our first psychic fair. This was in the summer of 1992. Fortunately for us, we sent out a press release to the Cincinnati Enquirer, and the way they positioned the information about my event, it was under pictures of all these movie stars. And so people noticed it. And there were so many people that came to our first event. We knew there was a need in the community for something metaphysical and holistic. And it was a huge success. And then we had our next one. I've been doing 2 psychic fairs a year for the last 23 years. They started in a hotel ballroom, and now the Victory of Light Expo is at the Sharonville Convention Center here in Cincinnati and Sharonville.
And how many people are attending now? I mean, can you give us some numbers just to give us a comparison?
Absolutely.
First one to...
Yeah, from a few hundred people, we now have over 4,000 people who attend. We make the expo for the general public, and we also have over 250 exhibitors. These include psychics, healers, vendors, so you can do a lot of shopping at the show, and teachers who teach about meditation, psychic development, Native American spirituality. You can get a Reiki session or experience different forms of healing that are energy-based, holistic, non-drug, non-pharmaceutical, and non-invasive. And it's a great resource. We also provide the area's best and least expensive opportunity to learn about these topics. We used to have 65 seminars. This time, we're upping the seminars to 85. So there are 85 seminars to choose from, and they're all free.
And these seminars, like if I came to your psychic fair, which I have done, and I mean, I want to tell you, I love it.
You've presented there several times.
I have
over
presented
the years.
there.
Yes.
Thank you for mentioning. When you go to this, people don't have to like wait, because there could be like several speakers at one time in various rooms, and you kind of pick and choose, and because you may not want to hear all 85.
Well, right. You can't attend all 85 because there are 6 going on at any point in time. There are 6 seminars going on congruently.
How many days does your expo?
It's a Saturday and Sunday expo.
Okay.
We have it twice a year. It's always the weekend before Thanksgiving, and also during a weekend in April, obviously never on Easter, but early April.
And would you say that some of the participants, the speakers and the vendors, come from fairly far away, or?
Sure, yeah, we've got people who come from all points around the country. We have people from California. We always have some special guest presenters who have been on television or have written books. And they're considered experts in their field. And so we have that. And then we also like to highlight regional resources so that people could learn about what's available to them right here in Cincinnati, Dayton, Louisville, surrounding areas, as far as various practitioners of holistic and metaphysical arts and sciences.
That's wonderful. That is, it's just really,
There's
really
a lot
wonderful.
here in Cincinnati, a lot. People need to know about it, and that's what Victory of Light promotes.
And you teach and you write, and your many of your articles are in national magazines. Can you give us the name of a couple of magazines so people who are watching this, if they would like to read some of your pieces?
Well, sure. If you go to victoryoflight.com on the internet and click on the Victor Paruta link, it'll include some of my articles right on my website.
Oh, wonderful.
And on the Victory of Light
Wonderful.
website as well. But yeah, I've been featured in all kinds of magazines, all the local, the Enquirer Cincinnati magazine. Internationally, I've been in real estate magazines. I was in various newspapers around the country. I was on national television with Barbara Walters on The View, where I was an expert on ghosts and hauntings, which was great. They had me investigate a haunted house in Louisville and report on it, which was really fun. And that's when I started my paranormal work. And paranormal means beyond the normal, just as metaphysical, beyond the physical. It's moving into the spiritual realms. So I've been involved as a paranormal investigator, helping people with energy issues in their homes.
Yes.
And that might be affecting their family. For example, their children or a spouse is having paranormal activity and they don't know what to do. And they call me and sometimes my paranormal team, and we go in and determine what's going on there. And it's interesting to investigate and discover the energy patterns that are at work on a piece of property or in somebody's home, or even within the dynamics of the members of the family. And it's never the same. Every case is unique. So it keeps things really quite interesting.
I'm sure it does. It really must. And I want to talk with you more about energy and have you tell all of us about energy. But I want to ask you something first, because I was at one of your lectures, one of your wonderful lectures, and you made a statement about how there isn't you didn't see any problematic issues between people having their own religious beliefs and yet still believing in the energies and paranormal or psychic. I think I'm stating that as I recall, that it's not that you have to.
Correct. Yes, as a matter of fact,
one way or the other.
Within the Bible, there are so many instances, so many references to psychic abilities, to prophecy. And within the Bible, there are 26 examples of Jesus casting out demons and unclean spirits from people and restoring those people to health.
Wonderful
So
to know.
the Bible's extremely metaphysical and extremely psychic, and I think a lot of religions now are starting to evolve. We're seeing everything change. Some of their stance on some of these things are starting to relax a little bit. Now, of course, in some areas there's still a lot of resistance, but in recent years, even the Vatican has acknowledged the existence of UFOs and extraterrestrials. What about that?
Okay.
You know?
Well, yes.
Yeah, so, and they're training more exorcists because they're finding that there are more requests for these sorts of services. So,
Fascinating.
Very paranormal, yes.
Now, let's get into energy, and I would like you to explain to us what exactly is meant by energy, and then what do we do? How does positive energy affect us, and how does negative energy affect us? So perhaps you could give us a brief description of what is meant by energy.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Now, of course, it's a huge topic, so I'll do my very best to kind of break it down.
Yeah.
But energy is something that exists in nature. Obviously we're on planet Earth, and it's energized by the sun. Without the sun, there would be no life on Earth. So the sun brings chi or prana or energy into planet Earth, and that energy generates all life on Earth. When energy comes into the planet, it's very pure. It's very, let's say, virginal. And people's thoughts and emotions can affect the quality of that energy. Not only that, but the planet Earth and its topography affects the way that energy flows. And hence, there are sciences such as feng shui, which is the art of placement to enhance positive energy and diminish negative energy. That's an ancient Chinese energy practice.
So if someone was dealing with particular issues, which is what we're concerned with here at the Sugar Pills program, and they wanted to feel their best, no matter how they're feeling, can they harness some positive energy? Are there ways to...
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Simple
what about,
ways to bring it to you?
Since the sun is the source of all our energy, you can easily sit in the sun, but you can focus on things that are light and positive rather than things that are negative. There's so many traps that humans fall into. Our thinking isn't 100% perfect. We're fallible in many ways, so we have to be somewhat aware and have self-awareness of the choices that we're making. And so when you wake up in the morning, a good way to start the day is with something positive. Perhaps you can read a paragraph out of an inspiring book. Some people will turn to the Bible. Other people will turn to books like Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, and read a paragraph or two, and it starts a positive cycle. Now, what's interesting is we're all somewhat in a state of mass hypnosis. We wake up in the morning, turn on the radio or the television, and we start listening to the news. Now, the news can be positive, but most of the time it's negative because sensationalism gets our adrenaline going and it forces people to pay attention. So these days, even more so with the internet, every news piece seems to be almost like tabloid journalism. It's exaggerated, to pull us in, to pull the viewer in. So we have to be aware of those sources or forces that are trying to pull us in to a certain energy or a certain vibration. That energy is fear. Now,
can people do this? I mean, I feel like sometimes I'm around people, whether I know them or not, and I think, I just feel like these people are so negative.
Absolutely. I mean, as soon as somebody starts gossiping, people's ears perk up, right?
Oh, okay.
And they get involved.
Okay.
And if you get pulled in, there could be a lot of negative consequences. For example, friendships could go awry. Things could be twisted. There's a lot of spin. Everything is spin, pretty much.
Yes. What about health? Can our health, in your opinion, be elevated or brought down by being around positive or negative energy?
Absolutely, yes. There is such a thing as a sick building or a sick location.
Really?
Yeah.
A sick building?
Where everybody who lives there develops an illness. And I've noticed,
We're in a healthy building.
Yes, this is a great building right here. But there are certain buildings where you look at the owners and the history of the ownerships. There's energy patterns that are put in place that other energy that comes into the building tends to follow along that track. So if You'll have certain places that people live where there's one divorce after another, or there's one illness after another. It's the way the energy is. These are energies of the earth, and if a house is sitting, for example, in a valley, it might have negative energy. It might. Things collect in a valley. But if you're higher up where the air is circulating and the sun is shining, energy tends to be a lot more positive. So there are earth energies. But then we also create energy patterns. If you're in a happy home, chances are after you move out, the people that move in that are attracted to the energy of that house will also be positive.
That's so interesting.
Yes, and you'll also find that if there's been discord in a home and perhaps a divorce, it's strange how people are subconsciously attracted to that house, and they may be going through a similar relationship issue that could potentially lead to divorce. So it's important to be aware of the energy of a place and the energy of a person. It's important to be around positive people.
So
extremely important.
If we're around someone who is negative and we're aware that they're negative, do you just kind of back off? I mean, how do you, let's say you're in a meeting, let's say you're in a business meeting, and you're seated next to someone and you just sense that this person is really negative. How do you handle something like that? Is there a way to shield yourself when you can't physically get away?
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, there are certain situations that we can't get out of. We may not be able to just walk out and leave that meeting, right?
Right.
Or we may not be able to divorce our parents or siblings, right?
Right.
If they're negative. So we have to learn how to deal with them. And energetically, there are a lot of techniques that we're capable of using in order to deal with those situations much more effectively. Now, of course, energy is flowing through the physical body. And this is also part of Chinese medicine. It's part of Ayurvedic medicine. Energy flows. It could get stuck, but it can also be used. So if you're with somebody who's negative, it tends to be very helpful to close off some of your energy flow so that it isn't quite as affected by the negative person. And the way to do that is
how do
this.
we do that? Okay, we put our hands together?
You put your hands together and kind of intertwine your hands.
Okay.
You might want to put them over by your solar plexus, which is where energy comes into the physical body.
Okay.
And where prana comes into the physical body.
Okay.
You'll want to have your feet on the ground or crossed at the ankles if you're in a negative energy environment. And what this does is it seals off your energy. If that doesn't work, what I do is I visualize a grid between myself and the person who's negative. This grid could be similar to a dream catcher or some sort of a screen or fence. And it catches the intention that you set for that grid is with your mind, with your intention. Your intention is that it will catch all the negative energy. And then you'll also want to ground yourself into the earth, because just as the electrical system in a house has a grounding wire so that if there's too much energy in the house, it grounds and dissipates.
Yes.
We can do that to our own energy field so that excess energy grounds into the earth and we don't short circuit or blow a fuse.
This is so exciting. Of course, I want your energy. I'm not going to block my solar. I want all of Victor's energy. Victor, if you could say something for us to carry on as a good thought, would you say a sentence or two that we can kind of hold on to help us with our energy?
Well, I think it's important to realize that you are responsible for your energy, and it's your prerogative to live your life in the way that you choose. Realize it's a choice. Often we set these choices subconsciously because we aren't thinking about it. Think good thoughts. Before you go to sleep at night, read something inspirational or think of something that made you happy or someone that you love. When you wake up in the morning, take a couple minutes, even if you have 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and read something inspirational or think of something good. When you go about your business over the course of your day, realize that your energy is affecting everyone that you come across, even the stranger that you happen to walk by on the street downtown on your way to the office. And sometimes a smile is all you need in order to get yourself into a positive state of mind. And
Smile, everyone.
yes, because it's body language. Now it works
Okay.
both ways, you know? If you're smiling, it makes you happy. If you're happy, you're smiling. But sometimes if you're not happy and you start smiling, you start becoming happy.
So what you think is what you are.
Well, yes, absolutely. And that's
Well, I think
that's-
I'm very lucky that you're a guest here.
That's the law of attraction, just like in the movie The Secret. You know,
Yes.
our beliefs and our thoughts often generate our lives, create the type of life, but people don't pay attention. You have a choice. Be positive.
We have a choice. Well, right now I choose to thank you for contributing to the Sugar Pills book, and I'd like to give you this copy as a thank you for being on
Oh
the
my
program.
goodness, I'm
And
so thrilled.
aren't we lucky to have had Victor talking with us today? I mean, I'm really excited. I'm gonna guard my solar plexus when I need to. I'm gonna smile a lot, and I hope you are too. Okay, all of you watching, let's have a big smile. Come on, come on, big smile, bigger. And that's so exciting. And Victor, you are inspirational. And one of the best things about you is you explain things in a layman's language so we who are not of your knowledge can understand what you're telling us. You're excellent at that. And I hope everybody who is at all possible will go to the Victory of Lights when they happen, the Victory of Light Expos.
Thank you so much, Barbara.
You're welcome, and thank you to all of you for being with us and hearing Victor Paruta talk about energy, about being a psychic, and some really interesting stories about paranormal things. And I'm just so lucky that I know Victor, and I'm lucky that I know all of you, and I wish you all the absolute best.
Shake a sugar shaker, what a thrill. Jeepers, I'm a sugar pill. Shake a sugar shaker, you can too. Sugar pills will work for you. Shake a sugar shaker, what a thrill. Jeepers, you're a sugar pill. Shake a sugar shaker, you can too. Sugar pills will work for you.